Yo, 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 what is going on, RoK Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and today we are back again from our impromptu, not on purpose hiatus that we ended up taking. Mainly it is RoK's fault, and we're going to explain why and what really has been going on so far. Before we dive into everything and talk about what's kind of to come as well, and what you can expect going forward now that I'm hopefully finally caught up on a lot of things. If you enjoy the content, as always, make sure you sub, like, ring the notification bell, and if you want to join and be a part of our conversation, hit up the Discord. You can find that in the pinned comment and description down below. So, our jump project finally has landed in 2777, and we are here about 8.5 days in so far. As you can tell, it's been almost 10 days, probably by the time this video comes up, since I posted content. That is because, one, there's a lot of work that goes in to running a jump project. And with the kind of time I already had, a lot of it was being focused and dedicated on just kind of getting caught up, getting things set up, addressing some things throughout. We're going to touch on those as well in a little bit, but I am really happy and thankful to say that I think we're in a great position now within the kingdom. And let me kind of run through just a quick overview before we get into some of those kind of minute details. As you can tell, I got to drink from the Trolls cup. Gotta love my girls. Okay, so at the moment we have a alliance in every province, with the exception of one where we have two. So I'll start here at Province 1. Unfortunately, I don't have everything fully defogged at the moment. I also will address the elephant in the room. And I think I'm about 80% cleared right now. So at the moment, up here, we have Spidey's Alliance, who is on the right third here of Province 1. We have LS, who we're working with here in the middle, and then we kind of have an open 1/3 there on the west. We get into Province 2, we have two of our alliances, which is on the right third and the middle third, and then the left third is kind of open right now to see who's going to emerge from there. And then we get to Province 3, and we have kind of a combination of CS and GI7, who's kind of there in the upper third. We have PH, who is here kind of around the middle third, and then we have US here, who's kind of solidifying the bottom third, if you will, kind of in a combination there with CM. And then we have Province 4, which, man, was a dicey one. We'll get into that in a bit. And right now the right third is kind of up. There's not really a clear favorite or lead there. Middle, again, still a little bit clustered there too as well. And then on the west or left third, right, this is for IS. And then we get to Province 5, and we have PS here, who's kind of taking on the right third area. Middle doesn't really have a solid breakout yet. And then the left third here is for HOA. Hashtag. And then we get to Province 6, and this is where we have 7P, 7S. And then we have at the top, which is DO7, or I should say DO77, kind of taking the top third. Middle third right now is still a little bit kind of up for grabs. I believe CR at the moment is the attemptive ideal there that they're looking at. And that kind of rounds out the 6 provinces, there for Zone 1. So our idea was to really look at the provinces and split them into thirds. And the reason why is because it's really important to look at trying to retain the most amount of initial player activity when a kingdom opens, and also at the same time retaining the most amount of alliances, because the more alliances that stay, the more average player base will stay. So by giving players an opportunity to, and more specifically, right, in conjunction with the alliances, essentially, because they kind of go in hand, giving more opportunities for more alliances to develop and for players to play the game early on, which is essentially what everyone wants to do, there's a higher chance that they will stay in the kingdom longer, where opportunities can then present themselves and develop from there. Instead of taking an approach that, unfortunately, a lot of kingdoms do, where it's just survival of the fittest, everyone's trying to take everything that they want, and you end up kind of getting into this battle royale per province idea, where you might have one alliance that wants to take over everything, maybe some want to split it in half. But the problem is that anytime you do it with one or two alliances that are going to be kind of king of the province or taking over, you alienate the rest, and that causes for players and alliances to potentially quit, leave, re-roll, and just generally not have positive or net positive experiences, rather more of kind of net negative repercussions. So with that being said, we went with a 1/3 split approach, with the exception of Province 3, which kind of has like a 4-part approach, but it's more of like a 1-1 and then a 1-on-1, so to speak, within the other one. No pun intended, I think. So, but from there, as outside of the provinces, those are going well. We did have a couple skirmishes, 2 so far. We had one here in Province 4 that was dealing with 77 TM, which was the alliance here from some of the white flags that are left. There was a little bit, some of them have gone now to XCTW, which is the next one, kind of just repositioning. Eventually, I believe we're going to connect over there to the CF and address accordingly, as long as there's no big changes that end up occurring. And then over in Province 2, there was something over here. I believe it was with GRNU. They have recently moved over here, so it was, I believe they were right around here, and their CF essentially got taken out because both of these alliances were just being very aggressive and kind of unwilling to share things equally that we were planning to do with everyone in the kingdom, not taking any more or less than anyone else. But obviously giving the opportunities to where we could have 18, arguably up to 18, right, alliances that are going into Zone 1, right, as emerging and active alliances. And then they ended up moving, I believe, over here to kind of the upper right third or corner of Province 2. And so far, things have been relatively going really well. Again, more alliances are developing out their provinces, not really kind of full yet, as I believe our altars should be opening here in a few days, is the next big one that we have. So really excited and obviously can't wait for that to happen. And then we'll get probably another better idea of what's going to be happening after altars, and then, there will probably be another wave of, possibly some mergers or from some small alliances. There'll probably be more consolidation of territory as well, and then we'll get closer to Zone 2 gates opening, as they'll eventually be coming up. Now, let's talk a little bit about kind of how things are going on the boards, right? So if we look at the leaderboards here, you can see that, again, really good numbers so far when you're looking at power growth, along with kind of solidifying, some of the top spots. So right now we have 4 spots in the top 6, and then Ghost Alliance is 16. So we have 7 right now that are within the top 16. We specifically have, I want to say it's 8, or sorry, right here, right? We have 6 within the top 12, and then we have 5 within the top 8, 4 within the top 6. Again, the hope right now is to really focus and work on more power balancing. That always has been one of the big advertisements that we've done for every project, or I should say more on the recent projects for RoK. And with this one, now we're really starting to kind of get into those gears by doing a couple things that we have. Thankfully, we actually have a decent sized group, I think of about 30 to 40 players that, even though they weren't able to make it into 2777, they did make it into 2779, and then a few others made it into 78. So once the kingdom opens up here, going into day 10, we'll then be able to bring some of those players over. So if not all of them, over a period of time. And so that'll be nice, because one of the awesome things we'll be able to do there is, again, take the players who kind of have to get to CH16, and they're already developing and powering up, and we'll be able to kind of work and place them into some of the lower ranked alliances, so we can start working on the power balancing from bottom up, as we already are from top down, by kind of putting hard cap restrictions on for essentially if you're going to bring someone into the alliance, right, for one of the top placings. You essentially kind of have to do it under a certain threshold, right? Whether it's 300K, I think is what we have it set out right now. Right, and anyone over that you would send to a lower ranked alliance. And then eventually, right, the bigger players trying to send them to the lowest ranked alliance. So this is kind of how you can work on balancing from top down and bottom up. And it's something that is going to take time. This is not an overnight success at all. I've had an opportunity to do this in 2 kingdoms so far for my time in another kingdom builder. And as long as everyone's on the same page and everyone really understands why we're doing it and how it's going to benefit the kingdom as a whole, it works out beautifully. And however, as I said, it does take a little bit of time. It's not an overnight success story, even though it'd be nice if it was. And so that is where we're at there from the power boards. And a great thing right now is that the majority of the alliances for the top active alliances we have on our kingdom Discord, which is awesome. Tags have already been issued. We have a lot of conversations going on with all of the leaders and officers from pretty much the majority of the top alliances. And everyone, thankfully, has been really on board. I think it's really important that when you're going to try and sell an idea, you want to sell a vision for something, you have to be the ones that are really leading by example. And that kind of starts with doing our 1/3 territory splits in provinces. If we don't take any more or less than anyone else, it's a lot easier to sell that idea across the board because we're the ones who are following by what we are saying that we're going to do. So people don't look at us and think that we're taking more or less from anyone else. So that has been great to see. And because of that, you can see there's a lot of active alliances in each province, right? This is really good overall to see. Instead of less, you have a lot. There's a lot of great activity, a lot of center fortresses, multiple alliances in each province. This is what you want to see. You want to see a healthy number of active alliances within each of the provinces, knowing that over a period of time, right, there will be consolidation, there will be merging, and activity, instead of it dying off and leaving, will continue within the kingdom, right? And so these are great signs that I'm seeing right now. And I think it's awesome that we've already taken a very proactive approach. And I'll just kind of give an example of some of the things we've done, right? So let me kind of go into my messages and I can show you some of the send stuff. So here's an example of an introduction message, a 2-part that I wrote up that we started sending out to alliance leaders. I believe we worked our way possibly to the top 100, and we sent this to, I think, about the top 40 or so, 40, 50. And it's kind of a 2-part message where, I just kind of explain a little bit about, our project. You can see here, Perfect Strangers Introduction, right? Did a little bit of easy formatting. Doesn't have to be too deep with it. Right, we don't have to be super fancy, but again, breaking up some of it, getting some nice formatting, some nice outlining, and then you can see here, right, talking about a Kingdom Discord, sharing resources, a little bit about Kingdom management, messaging, letting them know about the Kingdom Discord and who they can add if they want to just go that route for an invite. We have part 2, which is that we say if joining, and then we talk about managing MGE and PvPs, and then there's just some information here on each of those. Zone progression, just again, giving the leads information that would be really good for them to know before everything really starts kind of going hard in the paint. And so I think by allowing for us to get ahead of those things is fantastic. It really gives us a great opportunity when it comes to how we can set a good tone in the kingdom. And because of that, hopefully allows for our introduction to be more of a professional one rather than a amateurish one, so to speak. And I think the important bit is getting, like I mentioned, right, getting ahead of it early so that way we can kind of come out the gates with a good first impression. And that, thankfully, so far has been fantastic to see. And I think our efforts are really paying off. And we've had really good conversations, as I said, with a lot of the people in the kingdom. And we started doing this, I believe, day 2. And then we've been constantly reaching out to the alliances throughout. So a lot of these commitments, if you will, and time that we're spending nurturing, building relationships, getting some rapport established is really helping out. And I think these are some of the best things that you can do when you get into a kingdom early. And I'll probably make some side videos specifically talking about some of these and why we did it the way we did and some good practices as well. But so far, it is really paying off. And that's one of the most exciting parts that I can see. At least, again, it's very early, of course. So we're not going to make any hard predictions, but I can talk about, at least right now in the moment, I'm really happy to see where things are going. And this is a collaborative effort, right? I mean, our leads, our officers, everyone has just been absolutely fantastic. And no kingdom is without its own, trials and tribulations, if you will, right? We've had, our thankfully kind of small share of, some drama here and there, but, it's nothing that a good open conversation and discussion, in my opinion, right, can't fix. And thankfully, we've been doing weekly meetings. We've had a management meeting. We've had a council meeting so far. I believe we're doing our next town hall, hopefully tomorrow, or at least on Tuesdays when we try to do them. So again, these things have been going, at least I feel, in a very positive direction. And, I'm never one to sugarcoat it and make it seem like, oh man, it's going perfect, because in my opinion, nothing in when you're trying to build a kingdom and you're working with so many different people and at times very passionate people. nothing is ever going to go perfect, right, or exactly according to plan. But we can hope and we can prep and we can do as much as we can to make sure that these efforts that we're putting in and the level of preparation that we're taking can be done in at least the most efficient and effective way that we can, right, with a lot of TLC and, like I said, a lot of passion. With that being said, that is pretty much it for me. Again, I'll probably do a later. There's going to be a couple more videos that are coming on where I'm going to talk about kind of the beginning stages of a kingdom, if when you're landing in there, right? Some of the important things that you really want to try and hit on. But it's been exciting. I never thought I would be this excited to be this involved back again with RoK after taking a decent amount of time hiatus. And hopefully this may be the last kind of big break between videos. Now that I'm actually finally caught up, there's just been so much that I've been doing. I'll have to probably make a separate video on it, but I at least wanted to give you guys an update and an overview on how things have been going so far in 2777. So I'm excited to see where things are going to be going. And if you're watching this and you're in another kingdom, you're on the continent, you're possibly interested in just kind of following our journey and keeping up with things, again, we'll also post information on the Discord for things like when migration opens, for people that just maybe want to get information or have a conversation. Again, you can always reach out to anyone that you see with a tag on our Discord as well. All right, that's it for me. So as always, until next time, I hope you enjoy. I'll catch you later.